This is Renzel Dashington.
It's Barnev, episode 72, FML podcast.
How y'all doing?
Chilling.
Good one.
How's everybody today?
What up?
We're good.
This is good. First
Warm
shot,
up was
first
good.
attempt.
We
First.
just had a
Oh yeah,
we just had a 30-minute warm up.
Yeah,
We did.
It was hot.
yeah. This professional's in the room, my brother.
Yes. So today, you listeners, for y'all that don't know, today we're welcoming two great guests to the FML
Time out.
podcast.
How would they know?
Well, they introduced themselves.
Okay, keep going.
They introduced themselves, Freddie. They said their names.
Keep going. I'm just saying. Keep going.
So we got two respected names in the Quebec music industry. We got Barnev Valsaint as well as René France, aka Renzel. So how y'all doing today, guys?
I'm doing great.
Renzel, you don't like when people give out your
Government?
yeah.
No, two different people.
Is it?
Literally? Yeah. No joke. It is to some degree two different people.
Well, in your career, you have to use your government, don't you?
In which career?
Good question. We'll get
we'll
there.
get to
We'll
that.
get there.
We'll
Good
get to
question. We'll get there. Very good question. So, as I said, for y'all that don't know, obviously, if you do know, you would know that Barnev is a great singer.
Thank you.
And you would also know
Fantastical.
that Renzel is also a manager. But before we get into music, Renzel, you also do podcasts, right?
Yes.
So first, since we're actually doing a podcast, I'd like
Yes.
to start by asking you, what brought you to do podcasts, and what do you think of the local podcast scene that we got in Montreal so far?
I think it's cool that a lot of new things are popping. Like it seems like everybody's trying to podcast.
Yeah.
And you got to start somewhere. I see a lot of really bad stuff. I see some interesting stuff, more bad than good.
Mm-hmm.
But from my standpoint, if I inspire someone to say, "Oh, I think I could do it," we need more voices, not less. So
More of our voices.
yes, more of our, Montreal has a face that doesn't exist in the world. There was a guy that says if they put something in the water and everybody dies, the Montreal we know doesn't exist for whoever's to come to know. So what we're doing, or my podcast at least, is about our point of view and making sure we exist and we stay.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they do know, it's just that we're not talked about so much. Because, hey, anyone that is a globetrotter will tell you Montreal is the shit.
Yes.
They just don't talk about it so much.
But most of the world is not a globetrotter.
And most of the world doesn't have this vision of Montreal.
As
I think
well.
that's
True,
what
too.
you were saying. right?
The point is not that Montreal doesn't exist, but the Montreal that includes everyone in this room
Urban Montreal
doesn't exist for the rest of the world. Celine Dion, même even Guy La Liberté, or like how they call the company that does all the show,
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, but the
Yeah,
company
that
that
is
does
from
all
Montreal.
the light
Yeah,
shows and all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Moment Factory.
Yeah.
Moment Factory is a lot of non-black people.
Yeah.
Like it's astonishing, but still, long story short, Montreal travels, but it rarely resembles us. So we're on the net, we exist, we rep Montreal. This podcast, my podcast, a lot of podcasts. I'm afraid something happens, and then it was a thing I saw in Tout le monde en parle. The guy said, when I want to see New York of the 80s, I could open a book. I could see a movie. Say, what if I project myself 20 years from now and I need to understand Montreal of today? What do I look at?
Exposed Sunset.
I was gonna say Watatata.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the only thing that we're really known for globally.
Yeah.
Everybody
Exposed
knows that.
Sunset.
You should know. Tell us about yourself, Barnev.
Yeah.
Actually, well,
Where?
while we're still
What's up,
talking
what's
about
up, what's up?
podcasts, and you
What's up?
mentioned there are good podcasts, bad podcasts. I'm curious to know, how did you hear about our podcast? Actually,
You guys are probably the first podcast I found after I put mine on SoundCloud.
Okay.
Because I think because Montreal is in the the
Yeah.
Soundcast put
Yeah.
us together.
Yeah.
SoundCloud put us together. So
they suggested for you
Type
to
of-
listen to the
yeah.
podcast.
So we're not there anymore, but I'm happy.
You're not
you
on
guys-
SoundCloud anymore?
Not anymore.
What are you doing now?
They shut you down?
No, I mean we could have. Yes, they took a few of our episodes because we do some stuff with the music under the lyrics, but under the
We
words.
suffered the consequences as well.
Yes, you suffer.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
we did.
Well, so you guys
We lost about 60 episodes, but keep going.
So first I've upped my engineer game, so the algorithms don't see them anymore. So that's one thing.
Oh, we got to talk about that later. But
Crank the bass. It helps.
okay.
Wow.
It helps. But no, we're on Anchor FM. We're on iTunes and Google Play like everyone else. But if you just want to stream it from your computer or even the app, and the app Anchor, if you guys are not on there, it's great because people can send you voice memos.
I'm
didn't know
actually
that.
experimenting with Anchor.
We just started. We first tried, then we kind of quickly gave up. Now we're getting back to it.
But I know that Google just announced that at the beginning of this year, a new investment. I don't know if they're a new investor, but they're really they want that to be the future of podcasting. And just because of that, I'm like, you know what, and to no lie, I've gotten more listens from Anchor than I did from SoundCloud.
The thing is, Anchor's the first real podcasting app out there.
Is it? Okay.
Because there aren't really, everything else is about music and media and everything else all
yes,
into
that
one
makes sense.
bag. But
That
Anchor's
makes
really
sense.
podcast ready and podcast.
That makes sense.
Um,
So congrats to you guys. First, thank you for inviting us.
Definitely.
No problem.
We're also known as the Colgate Brothers. It's a
Colgate Brothers.
Colgate
Yeah.
Brothers, a
Okay.
podcast. We actually used to do a podcast, but
Hope
we're-
y'all got white teeth.
Hello. I gotta see my dentist. He doesn't like me very much. But yeah. Long story short, it was more about being two black guys in a really white industry, and people tend to notice our smiles for some reason, even confused us, even though I look like me and he looks like
say what?
Killmonger.
People confuse you guys?
Yeah, a lot.
Yo, a
For
lot.
some
We
reason.
all look alike.
A
man.
lot.
I mean, come on.
Honestly,
No lie.
it's no lie. Like
No lie.
when we are apart, I mean, sometimes it's
No
really
lie.
crazy. Yeah.
No.
I mean,
lie.
you're a big dude.
I mean,
Well, actually, this leads to our next question. Where did you guys meet, or when did you guys meet? Or
Well, before
how?
that, can they know who Barnev is?
Yeah.
We'll
God damn
get
it.
there. We'll get there.
How you
Don't
gonna get
worry.
there if they don't know who he is?
Don't worry, man.
It's a bill. For those who
We
don't
don't
know,
even know about his other
my
careers.
government that was previously mentioned used to be, I suppose, one of the more powerful managers in this, not in the French world, I guess.
Okay.
So I used to manage this guy called Corneille, and then we sold almost 2 million records together altogether. Between singles and worldwide, between singles and before streaming and all that good stuff. And I also work with Gage. I work with other artists like Zao, who's one of the top French girls right now. That's from Montreal as well. Work with Diams a bit. I work with many people. The list is long, and did a few things over there. And then I was just a young black guy from Montreal living in Paris for a few years. And him and Barnev and I had never met, but we had heard of each other because Barnev is also the voice on Soul Pleura, which is one of the biggest French record that ever played here in Quebec, urban for sure. And but people were confusing me. People were saying, "Yo, Barnev! Oh, sorry, man. And
like
vice
we told
versa.
you before,
I'm really
I think
confused.
it has something to do with the girls that we used to go out with.
There's some of that as well.
Because sometimes, I would go out with a girl and he would go, like, they would be seen
In Paris?
together. No, here in Montreal.
Okay.
And I don't know, for some reason, before the beard, before
Yes.
for my dreads, and
Not Renzel,
This shit
the
is
other
confusing
guy.
as fuck.
The
Yeah.
other
I ain't
guy.
gonna lie.
So, when it comes to you, Barnev,
Yeah.
can you share with our audience what you do? I mean, I know he kind of said it a little bit. but-
No, I didn't say nothing though.
He did say
None
it.
of the good
His
stuff.
voice
None
was
of
one of the biggest records in Quebec.
Yes. I'm sorry.
well, basically, I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and I was in a group called No Deja, and with that group, we got together with the guys from Dubmatic, and then I ended up having one of the biggest songs on the record.
So how did that happen? How did you guys link up exactly? Because you said you were with No Deja, and how did you hook up with Dubmatic?
Well, how I hooked up with Dubmatic was a good friend of mine was the lead singer of this group called Alliance Ethnique back in the day, and then Dubmatic did the opening for that group. I met them there, and then I thought that these guys were amazing. They had a great stage presence, so I introduced myself, whatever. They had already heard of me, and then I did something at Dawson. You remember? I don't know if you guys remember, but Dawson used to have these parties during the day.
I didn't
And
know
then,
that.
yeah, and then it was like open mic. DJs was there with the mic, and people could go up there and rap. J Soul was there, people like that, and people just had open mic, and I would go there and sing, and then Jérôme was Diso from Domatic. He's like, yo, we got to do something together, man. We have this album coming out, blah blah blah. And then one thing led to another. I went to DJ Choice's house. He had the beat already. And then they were like, okay, this is the subject. If you can write something about that. And then right then and there in the basement, we wrote the song. And then the next day,
you had writer credit on that?
Yeah.
Damn.
I hope so.
And then the next day we went to Studio Economique, I believe. I don't think it exists anymore.
No,
Probably not in Montreal.
Yeah. So anyways, we went there, we recorded it. It happened so fast. Like it was like in a matter of weeks after the song was recorded, we shot the video right away, and then once the video started playing,
they were opening up for Blackstreet Boys.
Was it based on
Yeah.
something?
That shit was humongous.
for-
Any of our listeners that's around 30 years old,
Yeah.
for sure you heard this song before.
Yeah.
There was a song by Dubmatic named Soul Pleureur.
Yeah.
And Barnev here was on the hook, and he murdered that
Thanks,
hook.
bro.
The reason I say that is because as a 12, 13-year-old, because that's about 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 20 years ago.
20 years ago, as a 12, 13-year-old, I can't tell you how many times I tried to sing along to
Right.
because I didn't speak English back then. So
Okay.
I was
Oh.
trying to say whatever you
Oh.
were saying.
Wow.
And to me, it felt the same way the hook felt on that Coolio song, Gangster's Paradise. Like,
Well-
what you did felt the same to me.
Right. Well, it was weird that you say that because the director,
The movie, the video director, right? I
Kinda-
felt like the video was shot in the same similar way.
it was kind of based on that. Well, kind of similar. They wanted that
For
type
real?
of. Yeah.
I don't remember all that. Oh,
Yeah. As a
Oh.
12-year-old, that it automatically took me
Oh.
back to the Coolio
Oh,
video
for
and
real.
seeing him in
And
that
for
video.
Oh,
for
for
the
real.
for the actual writing, was that based on something, or you just went off the top?
Well, at that time, there was a lot of people dying, and killings for no reason in Montreal at that time.
Mhm.
And we had a friend that got shot, and we just wanted to underline, like, we just wanted to talk about it in a way where, like, asking questions of why is this happening, and why are we losing it, and after people die, what happens, in circumstances
Mhm.
around our neighborhoods and stuff. So we just wanted to talk about it, and that was the subject. It was nothing that we calculated or anything. We
Yeah.
just wanted to do a song about that, and then
And that came out. of
And
it.
then that
Yeah.
shit was big.
Yeah.
How was the reception like directly? Like obviously we all knew it was a big song, but
Right.
to you, how was the reception? How did people treat you after that? How did it open any doors for you?
Well, in the beginning, nothing was happening.
Mhm.
It was like that song from Pharrell, Happy. When he came out with it,
Yeah.
nobody wanted to hear it. But as soon as the video came out, everybody went crazy.
Especially
So
at
kind
that
of
time.
it's kind of the same thing that happened with us. Like we were, we wanted the song to play on the radio. People were like, "No, we can't play this hip hop." Blah blah blah.
Wow.
But as soon as the video came out, people started calling, and then the video started playing, and then they started playing on the radio. We got invited everywhere. We toured. We went to Europe. We did Canada. It was crazy.
How was the reception in Europe for a record,
Amazing.
French record from Quebec? Well, it sounded international.
Yeah, it
Right.
did sound
Right.
like
They thought
it
I was
from
American.
Europe.
Everybody thinks I'm American.
Okay.
They thought I was American. And we opened up for I Am, Passy, all that whole
French rap scene.
rap scene. And we toured with them all over Europe.
Mhm.
And it was great. Yeah.
Oh,
Now I'm actually curious for both of you guys to hear what your Haitian parents thought about you deciding to get into the music.
wanna
It's
hear
funny
Street
because we
Beat.
had
I
a
wanna hear
podcast.
Renzel's,
No, man, his is very interesting. It's more interesting.
Well, me, it's like I come from a background of parents, like, they're very religious.
They're
as-
Haitian,
You know,
like
they're
us.
Haitian, yeah.
you started in church?
I started in church.
Okay.
I figured.
You know what I mean? But my parents were like, okay, they weren't for it, but they weren't against it.
Okay.
Say the part about the deal that you had a deal and stuff.
Well,
No, before you get to the deal, I'm
Oh.
assuming you tell your parents, I want to sing. And
no,
they're like,
they didn't know. Like
That's the story.
my parents never knew until they saw me on television.
That doesn't surprise. I would have been the same way.
until
No,
they saw
he
you
had
on
a
that
deal.
Dogmatic
His
video.
friends didn't know.
Until they saw me on
I'm
TV.
the same
yeah.
way. I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
The reason
I
why,
would have
right,
been the same way.
is because if I would have told them what I was doing, they probably would have tried to stop me
Shut it down
and
real quick.
try to shut me down. But as soon as they started, because it's like it's perception.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Oh yeah, especially for us Haitians.
Yeah, and the
if we didn't
Haitians-
see if we didn't see
Exactly.
it somewhere else, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So, it's like their friends have to talk about it for them to be proud of you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, Haitians live for others.
It's like that. So when their friends started calling my parents, say, "Hey, did you know your son's on TV right
You
now?"
can say, "Eh, papa, them nothing." Eh, papa, Barnev.
Exactly. So that's what happened, and then I just never told them anything. I was signed to a deal. I didn't say anything. I was just doing me, and then once I got on, they saw me on TV and they would ask me, "So what's going on?" So I was like, "Okay, well, this is what's going on. This and that. This is what I want to do for a career." And then they saw how serious I was, and they saw that like, okay, well, if he got on TV, because for them TV is a box,
Yeah.
that nobody
gets in.
gets in, like
Literally.
so for them it was like, okay, so if he got there, that means he knows what he's doing. We're gonna let him go, and we're gonna let him do what he has to do. And then after that, Celine Dion.
Actually, before the internet,
Yeah.
it was pretty much that way for almost everybody.
Yeah.
If you're on TV, you're rich. That's how people perceived it.
Yeah.
It's not the case, but that's really how people perceive
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
when it comes to you, how did your parents react to you saying, "I want to be in the music industry"?
Tell you the truth, I don't think they ever connected any of it, even to this day, because after I went to school and I decided I met a group, so Carnet, Engage, and Gardi Fury were all in the group, and I used to manage that group, and I decided to go to school to learn
Management.
It was the arts production of the arts type of program. And then just so I have a diploma so that my parents would leave me alone. That was in my thought. But then I went on to build one of the biggest brands in all of the French world. I was a mid-20s, 27-year-old kid. I don't think they thought what I did was what I did, because it's almost impossible to believe that what I did was what I did. Because Carnet, for years on end, was in France, they have this thing called le sondage du journal du dimanche. So they evaluate brands and their value. So
Kind of like
Yves Saint Laurent's in there,
Times
and
does the
Johnny
same thing.
Halliday's in there, just so that they understand. Carnet was in the top 10 for 10 years easily. It was
God
one of the
damn.
biggest
For
brands.
10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I would think 3 to 5, not
No.
10.
It was because it's not just that he had a great album. It was a time shifting album. It was something that people they made babies on it. Babies were born on it. They met their girls on it. They wanted to live more for it. They didn't kill themselves for it. Somebody died. It was one of those albums that stopped times, intergenerationally first and interculturally second. So it's like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of music.
How big was he in France? Because I know how big he was here, but I don't know outside of Quebec how big he really was.
Let's just say, to make it an example, one of the best nights I had in Paris was I'll say two. Bono was backstage at a show, just chilling. That's how big he was.
Okay, with him.
No,
That's how
Bono
big
was
Cornet was.
Weird. That's our show. It's our production. All of a
Backstage
sudden,
of
I'm
his
like,
show. Okay.
oh, that's Bono.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, Bono and the Edge, and that's before we were big.
All right.
Because the aura of the project was special early. We worked it in a way that French people, they weren't used to it. Even the image of it, if you remember Avec Classe, the video, Avec Classe was a mistake video. It was supposed to be shot by a guy called Seb Janiak, who was the guy behind Daft Punk's first
Around the world?
Yes, is that their first song? Their
Around
first big
the
song?
world.
I think so.
Yeah,
Big
I
song.
think so.
Dog and the whatever in the street
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's the new hot shit or whatever. And the label calls me on the Friday and they say, listen, we got Seb Janiak to do the video. It's gonna cost a lot of money. At the time, it was almost $200,000.
God damn.
I'm like, all right, but I'm paying half of it. So in the deal that we have, it's another conversation. But I'm like, okay, so when? It's like they come in Monday. When Monday comes, Seb Janiak doesn't come. He sends his assistant. So everything went wrong with that video, but the thing about that project is it was the DNA of that project was Montreal. This guy,
Yeah.
Corneille, is a great guy, but he's not Montreal. By the time he made it, he had been in Montreal for 5 years.
Yeah.
The DNA of the project, what made the difference for him in Europe is that people were watching the video and say,
This is not
this-
Paris.
no, they were like, oh, that's in French. Like a minute in. Because the aesthetics, because the vibe, because the
Okay, I see what you
energy.
mean.
Like, so they're like, oh, I like this. Did he just say it too? Well, oh, this is in French. And that was how that had never happened to the urban world in France, in Belgium, in Africa at the time. It was something like, it was like, okay, so this looks super American, the city, the guy's vibe, how they decide to shoot this stuff. And we did 3 videos like that where it was really about branding and making the people understand that, yes, we're giving a try at French R&B, which was really French pop to us, just a soulful French pop. But the aesthetics of that project was everything from the beginning.
Now, when it comes to you, Barnev, did the success of Soul Pleureur brought the opportunity for you to start singing with Celine?
Absolutely. We were on tour actually when I got the call. Celine wanted to ask me if I could come into the audition, and it's because of Dub. If I wasn't seen by
That's crazy.
by these people, you know, I would.
By the way, lifers, when I'm saying Celine, I mean Celine Dion.
Yeah,
We
haven't mentioned that yet.
Celine
Yeah.
Dion.
Yes,
By the
yes,
way,
He
yes.
sings with her.
By the
Yeah.
way, I just saw the other day and I just fell on it. Celine Dion's worth $800 million.
Good Lord.
Probably.
Good Lord, she got Renee's half back. That's what happened. Just kidding. Is it too soon?
No, but this split everything. This split everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got his half
Yeah,
back.
exactly.
But yeah, go ahead. Let us know how that happened.
With Celine,
Yeah.
Grégory Charles was replacing the guy that was there because they had fallen out somehow, and then the background vocalist left abruptly, and then Grégory Charles took over because he's a genius and
Yeah,
he can
he's-
learn anything in the
He's a
in that-
microwave. He doesn't. Yeah.
So he came in and did the show, but he couldn't be there for a very long
Obviously.
period of time. So he suggested you guys should audition Barnev, and then they were like, "Yeah, is he available?" And then
So he suggested your name.
he said
Shout out
you
to
should
the
you should call
assist.
Barnev to see if he's available.
That's great.
And then they were like, "Yeah, we would like to, but isn't he with Dematic? Isn't he doing that?" They were like, "Just give him a call, whatever." And then they called me to come into the audition, and then my manager at the time gave me the wrong time.
Wow.
So I
That's
showed up.
bad.
Yeah, me and Renee knows I'm
Real
super
nigga shit.
punctual. Yeah, I'm punctual.
Oh man, that's a bad first impression right there.
So I come in, you know what I mean? I'm half
You
an
were
hour
early
late.
or late? Oh, you're late.
I'm
You're
half
late.
an hour late. And there was like 12 other people there. And I did the audition. It was taped. And then they sent the videotape to Celine in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was watching it on her big screen, and there was a whole bunch of people there. And the kids that were there at the time, they recognized me. They're like,
Oh,
that's the guy
that's how
from
you got the
Yo.
gig.
The kids
That's
that
crazy.
are with Celine in Florida.
in Florida.
So shout out to Music Plus then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yo, especially hip hop acts and
You know?
R&B acts, they shit on Music Plus all the time. But hey, if it
Yeah.
wasn't for that video,
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
But we were doing a lot of shows back then too. We were doing a lot of variety shows. But anyway, so Celine's like, "Yeah, I gotta get this guy," and then that's how I got it.
And that was that.
Yeah.
God damn.
that's great, man. That's great. Now, both of you guys have been in the music industry for a while.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the difference between then and now when it comes to diversity?
From what point of view? Montreal, the world.
Montreal.
I think there's a lot more variety now than there was before.
You don't have enough time, bro.
I wrote that question down especially for you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think there's a lot more variety now. I think there's a lot of different style of artists they have a lot more visibility than we did. You know, when we were starting up. I think when we were starting up, we were doing stuff like, you know, variety shows, big breaks, and Gala Soba and stuff like that.
You ain't got no respect for them kids out there. I ain't got no respect, none at all.
No respect for
The
current
for a lot of the young
artists in Montreal?
young kids.
Okay.
So a lot of guys that are doing what they can, the producers, but artists, like I don't know one rapper that whether you're French or English, and I'm like, yes, that's Montreal. There's one guy I like, a guy called Fouki.
I don't know.
He has a song called Gaillé. He's a white kid, but you know,
Mhm.
you could tell he's been in the hood for a long time.
Mhm.
So what do you mean that you can't tell?
Well, I'll start like this.
Mhm.
When I started as a young manager, I was a promoter in clubs. So
Okay.
for people that know Le Beach Club in Pointe Calumet, me and
Yeah.
my partner started that night, that Sunday
Okay.
party in Pointe Calumet.
All right.
Like 2 black guys and a white guy, right? So I'm making good money, and it's the biker wars. So there's a club I work at that somebody blew up 10 minutes after I passed in front of it, and I'm like, you know, I need a new life.
Mhm.
I need a new life. And then I meet this group, and then, you know, I do all these things. Long story short, I'm managing at the time. Every day at the studio is $1,000, $1,200. That's a new MacBook every day.
Mhm.
Today, everybody could have, like, for what we used to spend to get in the studio, everybody have, you know,
You have a full promotional budget, full album budget for
Everything.
$2,000.
You get what I'm saying?
For underground
So-
artists.
So when I say I have no respect, I don't mean that there's nothing for me to respect, because you should have that much more material out. I should see so many things of you, because it's easier. Because at the time, I could only afford to do 6 songs a year before getting a deal.
So are you
I
specific-
literally
are you
could only
specifically-
afford to make 6 songs a year.
But
Are you
I
specifically
know,
talking about rappers or R&B singers or in general?
All of them.
but I know a lot of artists in Montreal that have about 50 songs in their laptop. They just,
No, I
they
don't
just
respect
don't know.
them motherfuckers either.
They just don't know what
Why?
to do. They just
Barnev
don't know.
included.
Barnev
Barnev included.
That's true, that's
Barnev's
true.
supposed to be having music on the internet.
That's true,
Just,
that's true,
just
that's
there
true.
for your enjoyment.
That's true.
But
That's true.
Montreal, like the biggest allergy of Montrealers is they like to be nice. That's Montreal right there. Like, we like to look nice.
Okay.
But you know what? Your look is unimportant. The feeling is, and sometimes you need to rework.
One
And in
artist
order-
that didn't care about that is Sans Pression, I would say. SP.
No,
he didn't care
the
so
one
much
true
about
artist
his
that
looks.
didn't care about that is that guy that blew up in France there, the weird guy there, cocaine guy.
Cocaine.
From Montreal?
Mm-hmm.
Good guy.
Loud.
No.
Black, white?
No, a few years back. Like, they arrested him at his house because he was doing videos. With
Oh.
cocaine.
Oh, why
Oh,
not?
why not? Why not?
Why not?
So hold up. When you say they don't care about it, what exactly do you mean they don't care?
What I mean is, you're supposed to put music out,
Yeah.
see how people receive it, take the rejection, because it's a part of the process, and then go back in the lab and do better.
So
But if it's in your computer, you don't grow, because you never have to face your audience.
I'll disagree with that because there's a few kids that put out videos like once a month.
Yep.
Videos that are getting a couple of million views on YouTube at least once a month.
Who?
No, but he has. he's got a point. He's got
514,
a
the
point.
whole crew. 514, I think that's a crew of French rap.
Enima.
Enima
No.
is another one of them.
No, but déjà, you know, he's one. Okay, yes, he is one of the people I was excited about in the
Okay.
last year. Enima,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because he's doing good work.
I'll agree with you. There aren't like enough.
Right.
That's for sure. But there are
nowhere close
a
to
hand,
enough.
there's a handful.
Yo,
I'll give you
at
that,
the
which
time,
is not enough.
when me and Bill coming up,
yeah.
we got the talent shows with 20 dudes who are the ones that could get in, because everybody trying to get in, and the best of the city trying to get in. I can't find 20.
But there are
guests
no
right
more
now.
showcases.
Well, to be honest with you, we just mentioned 2 acts. I have friends. Shout out to 45 Stars, which is a crew that makes music. I feel they could be just as relevant, but they're not putting as much material as they could out there. If they put out more material, and I remember telling them that I was like, I'm here in the studio with you guys. You guys are playing 50 songs. Nobody cares about the fact that you got 50 songs in this computer.
No one.
You better put out some shit out on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
YouTube, SoundCloud,
because
anywhere you can.
you're only putting one song at a time anyway. So
Let
put
me
that
tell
one
you,
off.
Let me
And
tell you a secret a lot of people don't. There's a guy in Montreal called SwiftKid, right? SwiftKid
Yeah.
is a guy from Lachine.
Lachine,
I
yeah.
believe.
Lachine,
Yeah.
okay?
Lachina LaSalle, one of those.
I negotiated a mid 6-figure deal with Warner Europe, UK directly, because he was at home. No, he was with a buddy, and his buddy's playing some Belgian garage type shit.
Mhm.
And he's like, man, I like that. And he's flowing on it. And then he goes home and then he cuts up the song. He records it. Then he shoots a video in his shower. Next thing you know, it's got 1 million views on it. The original DJ calls him and says, listen, I got to deal with these guys. They listen to it. They want to put some money behind it. All of a sudden, like a G6 dev, is on a remix with this guy.
Yeah.
He's double platinum in Australia.
Yeah.
Like he's nobody.
This is like
But the
5-6
point
years
is,
ago, right?
he had to put it out.
Yeah.
Right.
And all of a sudden, things happen.
Yeah.
Maybe not in Côte Saint-Luc. But look at this guy. He's double platinum in Australia.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with 50 songs on your computer, my G.
There's a lot of
I
crews in
completely
Montreal
agree with
that they just stay in their basement.
That's how K-Trial got out. That's how Lunis got out. That's how High Class got out.
Yeah.
They were doing remixes, putting them out, and then they got love from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, this podcast is another example of that. I mean, I had the idea of doing it for months, maybe years.
Yeah.
But it took this guy to say, yo, let's do it. Let's do it,
it.
for me to actually say, let's do it. Or else
Shout
I
out to
probably
Freddie.
would have still been in the basement.
Yeah, that's
Just thinking about it, right?
That's guys that
And
procrastinate.
today
a
we
lot.
have great guests like you guys, because I didn't think I would ever meet the guy that sang on Dubmatic's Hook.
Yeah.
I never thought that. But the podcast brought it. Hey, I mean,
I
that's,
just want to tell you, if me and him had died, your world would be different. Definitely.
Maybe.
Definitely. If y'all are music guys from the city, we don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know.
that's true.
Yeah, your impact. You do impact one way or another. You're gonna impact. If you have an impact, it's gonna impact someone one way or another.
Bro, moi des fois, sometimes, I'm sorry I'm switched to French, but sometimes there's a lot of guys in the city that test me. Yo, what have you done? And I'm like, bro, my records is still intact. Meaning nobody could touch me. I'm 1 million plus.
millions record sales.
Yo,
plus.
you know how many views my content is on YouTube? 75 million. I can't touch
So
me.
that's a great segue because
I'm a little kid from Montreal. I'm not in New York. I'm not
Yeah.
fabulous. We're Montreal doing French music. My account is 75 million.
there you go. But how'd you crack? Why do you? Because I feel like we're in a system, as they call it, le star système québécois. How'd you guys crack? Well, you just told us how, but how did you? Well, I guess this is more for you. How did you crack the system? Because like it's a close knit.
Quebec music scene was not popping.
I didn't crack it.
You can't crack it.
You know what? I decided when Kalna and I sat down and decided our plan, Master P was on our mind. At the time,
Okay.
we're doing 3 to 4 shows a week in Montreal.
Shit, and that was
We're
way after
packing a lot of
Master P.
people, and we're like, you know what? We did the demo right. I spent money demoing, seeing everybody, and they're all like, and this is before internet, the way it's accessible to everybody, right? It existed, but you can't send a video overseas. I had to send it by plane through people. That's internet.
Wow.
Okay, so I said, we're doing shows. We got 100, 150 people every time. If we gotta sell 10,000, $10 a pop from every show, we'll get to 100,000, and then from there we double that up and do something else with it. But that we were gonna be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And then I was a club promoter, and these French guys come into town. This girl called Sheraz, who did the single with Kamel de Alliance.
Yeah.
And then I'm with her manager, and then I'm a promoter. I take them around, I take care of them. And this guy says, I'm like, listen, I manage this guy. He listens to Kalna. He's like, what the fuck is this shit? And he goes bananas. And he says, I'm going to help you. I'm going to get you in every meeting I can. So a few months later, I'm meeting everybody in France, took my plane, whatever, this, that, and the next. And, France is a new market. I already knew I was going to do it in Montreal. But this thing happened. And all of a sudden, it's not just about having a deal. I know that the process is going to take an extra 2 years for me to start banking on this. So now we got to think of things differently. But the whole thing about Quebec acts going to France and lying about their stats. Yes, I said it, lying about their stats. I originated that shit.
Oh, so you were lying about your stats at first? Fake it till you make it?
Yep. I mean, no shame, no game.
What you gotta do.
Yeah,
No
you got to
shame,
do what
no
you got to
game.
do.
Oh shit, we're at 100,000. I know we got 100,000 shipped.
Straight up.
I know that don't mean nothing. We
By the
might
way,
see them
a
all
lot
back.
of mainstream artists do that shit too. Like
Yeah.
rappers do that shit all the time.
Celine
Well, that
Dion-
shit is
Celine
platinum.
Dion did that
Locally,
shit.
It's
Yeah.
not something
Yeah, of
that
course.
if they had
You gotta
known
fake it till you make it, man.
all of a sudden I'm François Bouguingo. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they had known the truth at the time, all of a sudden I'm François Bouguingo. I'm lying about stats because it's not true stats. It was a different way. Now you see a lot of people doing it.
Alternative facts, they call it.
Alternative facts. But I hired a gang of white people to front what we were doing, so it was okay at the time. That was also part of the key.
Now, getting away from you guys' careers, let's talk about the music industry.
Yeah.
I like to ask, how do you guys feel about the fact that R&B is slowly disappearing?
Disappearing.
Like at the end of the night, the dance, the like high school party. The thing when we were growing is to find a girl to dance and hopefully get her phone number.
Okay.
That's non-existent.
Yeah.
That does not exist anymore.
Yeah, because you got phones now.
No,
he
I'm
means
talking
like
about the
actual
music.
music.
Okay.
The music led you to, yo, two of my boys got a girl. I got to find a girl. Now, it's these hoes ain't loyal. That's the R&B
that's what
jam
you're
at the
thinking
end
about.
of the party.
Okay. But
So-
but what if it's true?
There's a discussion there. But
Okay.
how do you guys feel about the fact that like R&B is slowly disappearing? Like you got like Trey Songz, which is like a mix of R&B and hip hop. Chris Brown is definitely a mix. Who else? Like
It's
Neo
party-
hasn't put out music in a while.
He
Like
just came out with a single. It's not bad actually.
It's party records
Yeah.
more than slow
It's
jams.
definitely
But,
party
but
music.
they all have slow jams on their albums.
I think the music changes all the time.
Yeah.
It has to change. It can't just be all the same all the time. I think there has to be an evolution, and I think, like you're saying, you're probably talking about slow jams.
I'm literally talking about slow jams.
Yeah.
Back in
But
the
they still
90s,
exist. I mean,
there
New
was
Flame
a
New Flame
diversity.
was a real thing.
You had like Montel Jordan that's doing party music,
Yeah.
but you had Boyz II Men that's doing like slow jams.
No,
Now
it still exists. It still exists. I agree with you. There's less of it because it doesn't sell as much, but it still exists.
Yeah, and if you have satellite radio, you definitely can get a lot of it.
yeah, but you're gonna get the old school jams.
No, there's a lot of new stuff
Her,
like coming from Philly,
SZA,
Chicago.
SZA
Yo,
felt
Dejan,
that way.
there's
SZA
some
felt that way.
independent stuff,
There's
like
all kinds-
really a lot of like
Drake.
even when you think about, but Jacquees,
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
with Birdman?
yeah, the
With Birdman,
I've
been a fan of Jacquees. Like even before he got with Birdman, when he used to rap with underground rappers like Jody Breeze.
But
I
now
remember
he does like true R&B.
Yeah, he
And
does.
the thing is, we're up here in the north, but I was living in Florida for a year. Jacquees is legit in Florida.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like it depends.
No, I'm telling you, I've been a fan of Jacquees. I'm
Yeah.
talking like 7 years ago.
So it exists
Because I knew of him because he was singing along rappers.
So
Again.
therefore,
Yeah.
so therefore,
But
he did-
the thing is, the music wasn't slow jams though.
I
That's
think-
the thing.
I think it's not popping like back in the days. Like you wouldn't hear it. You would hear it even in clubs.
Yeah.
slow jams. But nowadays, people just want to turn up.
Yeah.
It's crazy because
People just want to turn up.
a part of R&B is slowly dying.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
it like I agree with you.
I
I,
don't
think it
so, and
evolves more than anything.
I'll say in
Yeah.
most cases, even the Chris Brown song, the These Hoes Ain't Loyal, there's a component of current R&B that if a guy slows it down, plays the piano, it does the same thing. So the BPM is sped up, the aesthetics is sped up, but it's in essence still R&B.
People are still making love to these songs.
It's still R&B, yes.
I mean, I got my playlist. You know what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, your
It's
playlist
always ready
might
to go.
be with
Yes.
old school jams.
You guys want a secret?
All
You guys
new
want
shit.
to?
I'll give you.
D'Angelo
I'll give you some
conversation?
artists.
Okay.
All
I'll
new
give you
shit.
some artists.
You guys want a secret D'Angelo conversation?
Hell
It's
yeah.
not a secret D'Angelo, but it's a thing that people don't know. So maybe it'll be like the Grapevine video, and then so this guy that I was working with, we decided to do an English album, and
Okay.
I did my best. I went to get the producer that did Voodoo D'Angelo
Mm-hmm.
to work on his record,
Okay.
and then we're in the studio, and we're like, man, and we're at the same studio that D'Angelo did Voodoo at. You guys know Voodoo,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
of course.
And people were like, man, we want to tell you something, man. Huh? What's the story behind the words with the Voodoo D'Angelo? 'Cause I don't know if you guys know. You can barely understand the words, and when you do, you're like, that doesn't make sense. And he's like, the thing is, D'Angelo likes to write, but D'Angelo can't write.
Like
Wow.
literally can't write.
So sometimes he does like les Français, the French call it yogurt, like yaourt.
He'll do
Yahoo.
And then they try and find better to fill in the word.
Yeah.
And then they never can. So they're like, just keep it like that.
a lot of guys write like that.
You know, but what I'm saying is the Voodoo D'Angelo Grammy nominated.
God damn.
They're not actual words. They're a bunch of that
You know
on that
what?
album.
You know
There's a
what?
lot of it. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just asking the guy, and I was like, "Yo, what's he saying?" Because you're at that time, at least I was a D'Angelo head. I want to know what does he say. Nothing.
That's crazy because I was never a D'Angelo fan,
Okay.
so I never realized that.
Yeah.
I mean, my greatest memory is my latest memory of D'Angelo is really 50 Cent saying, even D'Angelo, he determined not to fail. That nigga went butt ass for his record to sell. That's my latest memory of D'Angelo, man. I mean, 50. But another thing I wanted to talk about, and actually we mentioned it as we got in here. Obviously, in the past recent years, the Grammys have gotten a lot of flack saying that they were racially biased. And just the recent award show, there were a lot of hip hop acts that were nominated, but at the end of the day, it felt like only the safe acts won.
You mean only Bruno Mars won?
If Bruno Mars won
I disagree because
80%?
at this point, Jay-Z's super safe.
Today.
2018.
At this point,
Today.
yes.
In 2018.
Yes.
But Bruno Mars won like 80% of anything that a hip hop artist was nominated in. And it basically brought a conversation online. Actually, this past week, a conversation went viral, and people are saying that Bruno Mars is a cultural appropriator.
Yes.
How do you guys feel about that?
Who wants to go first?
Actually, before you go, let's play the audio for the listeners to hear exactly what was said about Bruno Mars.
Let's do it. This girl, I'm sure she's a lesbian, but I'm sure the sex is amazing in her. She's got so much passion. She's got so much passion. Oh my God. That's pour Barnev ça. Moi, I'm in a relationship. I can't do this shit.
He loves to throw women my way.
Yo.
That's about Barnev.
Yo, you gotta live for me.
Hold up. I'll play it.
Yeah, play it.
Oh,
and then l'Internet, j'ai oublié que je suis pas connecté sur l'Internet ici. Just play it and then I'll take the audio and put it instead.
Yo, cette femme-là, là. Oh my God.
Yeah, she went in, though. She went in.
Tu l'as pas vu dans d'autres affaires?
No.
Genre, she's amazing in this thing. Puis des fois, she goes in.
There she go.
I want to have that conversation.
Yeah, me too. That's not true.
No,
Of course not.
That's her mistake right there. She likes to go too far.
She had me until there.
That's why I can't agree with people like her.
Yeah, I'm not
She takes her points and takes it to the furthest point
level.
possible.
No? Oh, ouais, fini, hein. Cool people too, man.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about what she said in that video?
I don't agree with everything she said. I don't agree that Bruno Mars steals music and he's a karaoke singer.
I don't think he's a karaoke singer, but most of his big hits stem from other hits that we all know.
Okay. I'll give you an example. Amy Winehouse.
Yes.
She took a style that existed already. She
Yes.
just made it hers.
Yes.
But
But the music was original, if I'm not crazy, when it comes
Bruno
to Amy
Mars-
What song
Winehouse.
is Bruno Mars redone, girl?
all his
You're
music.
talking out your ass right now, like, as she is. Everybody says, but he's never redone a song.
Never.
It's not redone, but you're taking things from other songs.
Like what?
Like right now, I can't think about it.
Because
he
it's
did.
not
He
true.
did the just got paid. He did the.
It's
He
a
did
style
the
of music.
No, New Jack Swing, yes,
Yeah.
but he. Well, every song on that album sounds like a section of.
I
Just
agree
Got
with
Paid.
that. I agree.
Of what?
Just got paid.
Okay.
But I agree with that. But it's
Is
not
that-
what she's saying. She's taking word for that. There's
No,
a lot of
she went
bullshit
too
in what
far.
she's
She
saying.
went too far.
And not only that,
She went too far.
yo, we gotta
She's
stop.
beautiful, but she went too far.
She's cute.
She's beautiful,
We gotta stop picking and choosing when people are black.
but he's not black.
Listen, he's not black. But when we want to point our fingers at Latinos and say you are black, that's when they're black. He's Puerto Rican.
I don't know
but
what
he's
he
white
is.
Puerto Rican.
I don't know what he is.
Well, so now my point
Like
is
the darkest,
when
the
are we
darkest
making a
part of him
difference?
is Filipino.
When are we making a difference though?
But for me to be
And
black,
even if
you
you-
gotta be
And
black.
even no,
gotta be
That's
African.
not discretion.
You gotta
And
be
I agree
African.
with that. But the music, Puerto Rican music, is African music at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Depends.
Inspired by African music, yeah. Well, most music is inspired
I
by
mean,
African
yeah,
music.
but like the point, that's where it comes from. That's
Yeah.
That's where it originates from.
Mhm.
So, like, and another thing that bothers me is we got to stop race baiting, man. Let's discuss real issues, not whether Bruno Mars, who is of, and forget. Let's
No,
forget the fact that he's not black. Let's forget the fact that he's. Let me just put one point. Let's forget the fact that he's not black.
Yeah.
Is Bruno Mars not of the culture?
Yes,
Of
I
the
think
culture,
he is.
I probably yes, probably.
So we're cool with Rick Rubin and Beastie Boys, or we're not cool with
who
Bruno
said
Mars.
we're cool with Beastie
I'm
Boys?
generally speaking.
I don't see anything.
But for one, they're
I don't
not
see
in the
anything
same
wrong with what he's
category. To say he's a West Coast kid and it's a different culture, and he's a Latino from the West Coast. In that part of the world, he's black.
Yeah, that's
When
that makes
you
sense.
know you're in LA, you're Latino, you're not white. You're black.
Even Southeast Asians are considered.
we
black in
Yes,
some
we
sense,
we
yeah.
we will
In LA.
when you're there.
Yeah.
But I'll say this from the perspective of what she said.
Mhm.
In my opinion, is that yes, he absolutely is a cultural appropriator.
Explain.
Absolutely.
I feel like most
Explain
of
it,
his
explain it.
most
No,
of his big singles, I can
let me just
Hold on.
I
finish.
relate to another
But he's
song.
the kind of cultural appropriation I like. It's a
I'm not mad
complicated-
about it.
It's a complicated relationship.
I get where you're going.
I'm calling it for what it is.
I
but I'm
like Amy
cool with
Winehouse
that
pretty
one.
much.
I think he became a culture appropriator when he won all those awards.
Exactly.
He wasn't that before that.
He was a cool artist that people
You know what I'm saying?
appreciated, black
Because-
and white.
Because then you start realizing, well, why is he getting all these awards and this guy's not getting the awards? I think that's what happened.
Because she has a point.
I think they
when
need
it
a
comes
black
to the,
Grammy,
to the
man.
awards. Huh?
I think we need a black Grammy. Like literally
There's
the
a fucking
Grammy.
BET awards that nobody wants to
No.
go to.
I'm saying the Grammys, just like the way they do
The
the Latin
Latin
Grammys.
Grammys.
They need
Oh,
to do a black
okay,
Grammys.
okay, okay,
Oh,
okay.
they
The
do
only
Latin
problem,
Grammys? I
Yeah,
was-
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
the only problem is once they do the black Grammys, nobody's gonna want to go to the white
Yeah.
Grammys.
that's the problem.
That's
Yeah.
the truth.
That's the problem.
That's very true.
But
If they do a black Grammys, the white Grammys is almost
done.
dead.
It's done.
Because
Has no
nobody
purpose.
really cares about.
Has no purpose.
Nobody cares about country music.
No,
Nobody
that's
cares.
not true. You tripping?
None of us care about country
Yes,
music.
say that,
Yes.
please, because country music probably sells
No.
almost as much as everything else.
No,
Tennessee, goddamn it.
Arrête-le.
Tennessee and
The
St.
thing is, you have
Louis.
to look at it from where
I'm
it
not only
generates.
talking about albums. I'm talking about as a whole 360.
Yes.
Country music is almost probably as big as hip hop.
We have more hip hop artists doing stadium tours than country.
Probably,
music.
yeah, for sure.
Then you have mid level, so House of Blueses, the Drakes and the what's the Chicago guy,
Chance the
Chance the
Rapper.
rappers
Yeah.
of this world, and all these little pumps. They're the ones taking 70% of those dates. The truth is, hip hop is
Taking over.
killing.
Yeah, for sure,
everything.
for sure.
Hip hop
Financially
is
killing
the most
everything.
listened to genre of music, just
The
like he
most-
said.
yes. But it's financially also. Now, the thing is, you're right. Why are we making this thing about Bruno Mars? My bigger issue is, say there was a Black Grammy, should he be nominated?
Absolutely.
Well,
I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I don't know.
yes,
because he's
absolutely.
doing black music.
I think so. Just like the BET
So
Awards
Justin
were
should be
nominating
nominated?
Justin
Huh?
Timberlake back then. They were nominating Justin Timberlake at the
Yes.
BET Awards,
And
weren't they?
I regret that today.
Do you? Why?
I cannot smell this boy. Oh, I cannot.
You know what Justin Timberlake reminds me of? remember that kid in high school that listened to everything you listened to, and then when he grew up and got a job and
He
got
got
a wife
white.
and kids, he ain't fuck with whatever you listen
Yep,
to.
yep,
That's
yep.
what he reminds me.
Well,
Yes.
to be honest with you, he's
Yes,
the one
yes,
that people
yes,
were saying
yes,
is a
yes.
cultural appropriator before Bruno Mars.
If it's one or the other, I want to keep Bruno Mars.
Definitely. I
want-
agree.
Justin to me is.
I see.
it's-
I've
oh
known a
my
lot of
God.
Justins. Like, I'll put it. I grew up in Côte d'Ivoire, and then after that I went to West Island, and I knew a lot of Justins.
Yeah.
A whole lot of. I shared lockers with Justins.
Yeah. They just
But
don't,
the
they just don't want to
truth
get beat up.
It's not
They want to hang out with you,
They're
so
the
don't get
same
beats.
way.
You know
But
what I
they're
mean?
the same way about all music. You understand? Like you don't meet 60-year-old anarchists, skinheads, punk rockers. They all grow out. Their phases to them. Where for us, it's our culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm Haitian, but hip hop is my daddy.
Yeah.
No lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's at least my uncle. God damn it. At least.
Or stepdaddy.
At least.
Some, but hip hop taught me more than my daddy for the world I live in.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's true. For the world you live in. It's very true.
You know what I mean? So the Justins of this world, where Bruno, if I gotta look at Bruno from the perspective of West Coast, Southern West Coast,
But again, that's because he did one song that is of every genre. He did a reggae song with Damian Marley.
From a professional of music. I'll say this: what's the Versace on the
Migos?
Versace on from the last album is a. It
Bruno
starts
Mars
with Rhodes, just Rhodes, and he goes vocals in Rhodes. Bruno Mars. This album, Versace on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Versace on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so legit. If you know music, he's not appropriating it.
That's
it's
my
his
thing.
music.
It comes natural.
He's
to him.
either really, really good at faking it, or it's his music.
It's his music.
Yeah.
What's the name of the song?
I think
with
it is his
Cardi B,
music, but I think his music is inspired by.
But
It's not inspired.
everyone's
It's
inspired.
no. I
bruh.
think it is black music. He will tell
he
you
said
first.
it himself.
It's black music, but at the same time, he doesn't want to do Filipino peng peng music.
I
don't
completely
know.
understand.
I'm sorry if I offended
God
anyone.
damn, we're done.
I don't know how they
We're
call
done.
it.
That's it. That was it.
That stuff that Duarte likes. Okay, your crazy president.
No, but it's
Whatever
like
it
when they
is.
said, I think that if there's a
That
black
stuff that Manny
Grammy,
Pacquiao does.
Grammys is over.
Yeah, I completely agree because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of categories in Grammys that people aren't even checking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people they only want to see the black
These
entertainers.
days, there aren't any real. Well, I'd lie, but I'll say it regardless. There aren't really any real pop songs that are popping like when Britney Spears was popping. You know what I
No.
mean? So even those categories are like,
Diminishing, yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas,
But you know,
Ain't no
black-
more
the
Christina
reason we don't
Aguilera.
have
Ain't
it-
no more
the
Britney
reason we
Spears.
don't have it is black people.
what do you mean?
Yeah.
Because even as much as I like Kanye West, the problem with Kanye West is Kanye West wants to belong in the main Grammys. And there's many
Yes.
Kanye Wests where they have idealized what the Grammys are,
Mhm.
thinking it's a fair process, like a child looking it from the outside in.
Mhm.
But it's not a fair process. It's
No,
not a fair
especially
process.
not fair towards
It's not
us.
it's never. You know, the truth is history makes it unfair to us.
Yeah.
It's not the actual institution. It's history. We got late to the party and nobody decided to say, okay, well, they're late to the party, but we've been stealing all their shit. Maybe we should give them some extra.
Mm.
So they're trying. But at this point, the thing is, people that know me, my podcast, I rep equal but separate. That's where I'm at.
Equal but separate.
Oh, yeah.
So equal opportunity, but keep us separate.
I'm saying, no, we're not worth less than you or you than us, but we're not fucking with your shit. We never did. We just want to be okay saying we don't fuck with your
We
shit.
never fucked with this shit though.
We never did.
No, but you guys have that. I believe in separate but equal. Like
Yeah.
even we live in Canada, right? Or let's say in Quebec, where we live.
Yeah.
Radio Canada, which is the French version of CBC
Mhm.
radio and TV. Now we know that 50% of the population of Montreal has at least one parent that comes from somewhere else. Not originally, like immigrated from
Okay.
somewhere else. Okay. That means that at the very
50%
least,
of the population.
at the very least, 30% of the population is from somewhere else. The
Okay.
idea of the souche, which is a racist concept in my opinion, but let's not go there. Well, Radio-Canada, then 30% of your budget needs to be stuff that reflects the rest of us, because at this point,
It ain't.
this is social security for artistic white people.
Yeah.
That's what Radio-Canada is.
Yes.
It's it's a bien-être social, social security for white people only.
Mhm.
So we all pay for it, but we don't get to
profit
see
from
any
it,
of
yeah.
it.
That's very true because we do all pay for it.
We do all pay. I heard this guy on the
You want
radio
video
today.
to
They
our
were doing
Bell
a
Express
panel
view?
at Radio-Canada on CBC about tackling with race, and he starts. It's Bernard Landry. Man, I dislike so much. And then he goes, "They're paying with this with our taxes." Like, bro, like in your mind, other than white don't pay
Pay
taxes.
taxes. Yeah, exactly.
In his mind, he's like feels super legit. He doesn't. We're okay. So I'll say this is my last gem about this pro-black shit. But
Yeah.
the thing about Quebec, because Canada is a little different, but still,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
there yet, right? But in Quebec, when we talk about entertainment, right, all this danser pour gagner and all that good stuff, you understand that TV is fiction. Someone dreamt up all this shit. Do you understand that in their dreams we're dead?
I don't even think that
We're
in their
not there. We're just absent.
We were never there.
In their dreams, when they go to bed at night,
We were never there.
they've eradicated us. We're dead. You understand? When somebody is in his imagination, he cannot dig up the information to put us in his story.
That's why we're never in these commercials. That's why we're never in these shows. That's why we're never on their TV. On their TV
And there's not
separate
one
but
thing
equal.
that I don't think we can do.
Coca-Cola,
Just
we
like-
buy Coca-Cola. Well, 30% of your business, somebody's job should be to say, well, 30% of your money spent to go get new clients should be towards the people that actually buy your products.
Yeah.
And the truth is, when it goes to certain products like Saint-Hubert, you can keep advertising to the same people, but they're either not going to stop buying or not going to start buying. So you need to look at new people, my brother, because you're doing a bad job.
You guys ever been to another country, like a southern country or an African country, whatever, and the advertisement, let's say it's a Coca-Cola advertisement, and you see a black person, doesn't it trip you out?
It trips me out. Man.
it
true.
really trips me out.
It
dog.
trips me out when I'm here and I see only white people. You know what I'm saying? It trips me out. Like it's from working at, because in these last years, I did 2 years in an advertising agency trying to learn a new profession. So if we do a storyboard and there's this thing for, let's say, le 375e de Montréal, right?
Yeah.
And then we do like the storyboard and there's an Asian person and a black person and a multicultural family and all that stuff. And the person in charge will be like, this is amazing. I love it. Can we try something? Can you just take out the Asian person? I just want to see what it looks like. Okay. What about these people here? Let's try these people. And they don't even realize they're just picking out the color.
Yeah. I've always said, I don't think they actually do it on purpose.
They don't.
No.
They don't.
They just don't realize that there are other people there.
Yeah.
It's not like, yo, let's just take out all the black people to make sure that it's all white. It's really
No,
in their
when you're
mind.
when you're the majority,
exist.
you're not thinking about the minority.
So whenever we bark and ask for a place a seat at the table, they don't want to give you a seat at their table. But since it's everybody's money, I just want my own goddamn table.
That's kind of reparations.
No, it's not reparations. It's taxes from last year, my brother. It's not reparations. Okay.
And to be honest with you, they never consider us, or if they do much later. And if you ask me, there's not one thing that they do that we can't do. The only reason we're not on the same level, we're not given the same opportunity, or just that's what it is. We're not given the
part
same
of what
opportunity.
I'm saying is it will never happen because they're never gonna give you a seat at the table for you to make yourself great.
The only reason why it's going to change is if you have power.
Mm-hmm.
And
See,
we
in the
don't.
States right now, it's starting to shift a little bit
Economic
because
power.
right, because if the black votes count so much that it's going to determine if you're going to win an election or not,
Then they're gonna start catering to you.
then you're going to start seeing a shift. Here, they don't give a damn because we don't matter.
Vote,
We don't vote.
flex our
We don't do
muscles.
nothing.
We don't
So-
say, you know what, for the next week, nobody buy Petro-Canada. We all go same place to go. We all go to ESA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like nothing, but there's 500,000 Haitians in Montreal. Okay? Lots of us got houses. That means we got cars. Okay? If we all gas at ESO for a month, it's
ESO
gonna
is
show.
gonna realize it.
It's gonna show on ESO sides and it's gonna show on Petro-Canada's side. They're gonna have to try and talk to us, and these guys are gonna have to try and keep us. All of a sudden, they got black people in ads, but you got to flex your muscles for that.
People don't understand how much power we have.
No,
They
we
really
don't
don't.
understand.
That's what I'm saying. They don't.
We don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we agree.
And
we
we
agree.
had the discussion, you and I, on the phone. It's also the fact that, like, there aren't any, like you said in the conversation, there aren't any black teachers. There
My
aren't-
God.
there are a bunch of
Not
black,
many, no.
There are a bunch of
ever
black
had a
nurses
girl,
that nobody
a woman black
acknowledge.
teacher?
Yeah.
You?
What?
Woman
grade.
black teacher.
Haitian.
Teacher.
No.
No, but you say that and I get it, but it's like naming the black people in TV. If you can name them, it's not enough.
Not enough.
It's not enough.
You feel? But I never have.
I've
He
never
never
had.
has. He's never had.
I had
You're
a
the
male
one guy.
and I had a
You know what I'm
man
saying?
and a woman Haitian
It's
teacher.
I had a male. I remember now. You're right.
Males are
Yeah.
more. Males are
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
It happens a little more, but females very, very rarely.
Yeah.
And now that we've seen Wakanda and seen in the eyes of 8-year-old children what that how that affects them, can we start thinking for ourselves? Not wait for white people to do it for us.
No, but this movie is gonna change the lives of a lot of young black people.
Okay,
Just
but I
like-
want to go
yeah.
from there and say, so then if
Did
if
it change your life? Because you got the same hairdo, bro.
No, you had it before. I had it before.
I had it before.
Killmonger.
But I do call him Killmonger now. But what I'm saying is, if you can see in an 8-year-old child how much they're affected by seeing this movie, can you understand how affected they are by seeing authority in the hands of white people everywhere they go?
Yo, I'll tell you firsthand. My
Those
daughter,
teachers that you asked me about, like I can clearly remember them giving us young Haitian kids in their class a tiny bit more attention, or not more attention. When you messed up, they came harder on you because they wanted you not to look like the black fuck up.
Yeah.
They wanted you to
I
do
think
right.
beyond that, there's a study that says that you can't identify genius cross culture or cross color. So there's a little white kid who's a weird kid, but he's a brilliant weird kid. The white teacher is going to take their time trying to find a program for them. But the black weird kid's been in jail. He's been in jail.
He
No
is.
patience for him.
He has been
and you
in
know
jail.
why? And you
That's
he's
Khalif
been- like,
Browder
he's
right
been-
there.
He hasn't been
That's
back.
Khalif
He's
Browder right
been
there.
in jail.
And you know why the black teacher would be able to see that? Because the black teacher is brought up
And-
as a minority, so everything that the majority is giving them, they can absorb it. We've absorbed white culture. We
Yes,
know white culture,
yes.
but they don't know black culture because
Also.
they don't have to deal with it every day like we do.
Exactly.
Also.
So therefore, a black teacher would be able to do that.
No,
a
but,
white teacher wouldn't,
they'll
probably
do.
wouldn't.
But what I mean to say is that the black teacher will see something in the, like, say a Haitian kid, you can understand black behavior. Like I say to some of my friends in advertising, I say, there was this TV show where this black kid who's in a gang, but only white people believe that, hits his mom around a bunch of other black dudes,
And everybody
And you're
like,
like,
Nah.
like you guys got it wrong so many levels.
like a black guy that would do that would have to be a psycho. Not saying that it can't happen, but
Like,
if you
he's
do that, you're a
mentally
psycho.
ill.
Yeah.
He's mentally ill. Like first hit your mama, then hit your mama around other black men.
Yeah.
But that goes to the superposition
point.
of identifying black genius as a black person, while the white person is going to say, "I think we need to call the police." It's not a bad. I'm not even like trying to knock on people. It's a study. I didn't invent it. It exists. It's more difficult. It's sympathy. It's just seeing something in yourself that you can't see because the world educates us.
The
Now,
quote-unquote white world education.
Staying in the music scene,
Yeah.
and especially here in Quebec, would you guys say there are gatekeepers that are actually keeping different ethnicities away from the limelight
They're not even
or
interested.
from the mainstream? area?
I don't even think they do it on
Have you had
purpose.
to face that?
They're not even interested. It's not even in their thought process.
What about you though? Just like you said, you are on a platform or next to someone that should give you that light.
Right.
But do you feel like they're kind of reticent to give you that light? Because
But they
she
don't
does
have-
every night.
She
Takes you to the front of the stage
Yeah.
and you guys do a small duet like almost every night.
It's weird you say that because I was talking to him about it one time, but there's certain black people that they'll accept, and it's not alike. Like in the movie industry in the States, they'll always tell you there's always one comedian at a time. They can't have two
Yeah.
at a time.
Yeah.
It's so
Martin Lawrence had his
at
moment.
his moment. Now it's Kevin Hart.
Chris Tucker had his
You know what I mean?
moment.
It's like that.
Chris Rock had his moment. Yeah.
There's always a time that they'll accept one black guy. There's always one that
In
one.
Quebec, we had Luc
let me be
Merville
clear-
and
let
Anthony
me be clear
Cavana
for,
at some point.
Barnev, who didn't say it. If someone wants to read between lines that don't exist, like Celine Dion is a cool white person.
Yeah, I can tell.
I know
I
that
can
she is
very
cool
much so
white.
tell.
I can tell lately.
Yeah, no.
No,
No,
like,
I
I don't
tell.
know her,
Listen,
but
all right.
lately she got her groove back. I'll put it
She
that
did
way.
get a groove back,
Yes, she
actually.
did.
Yeah. You can
So
tell.
me and B Christmas shopping, and then Celine on the 24th decides she's gonna go Christmas shopping. She's just in the mall and then goes crazy, and she don't know me. I'm just with B. Yeah, she spent like I don't know how long she's talking to me. She wants to know
Yeah.
about my life. You know how white people don't care, do.
Yeah.
Celine, she's a special
Saw
person.
you with him and then started asking you questions
Oh,
about
no,
yourself.
She saw him. She said hello, but they work together. They don't give a fuck. She just started talking to me.
Wow.
No, she's dope. She's
Wow.
dope.
So she said hello and it was on to you because she knows him already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she knows I'm already. I'm an interesting black guy, and I had the same name as her husband. So
Okay,
it
yeah,
just-
yeah.
It was
That was
but-
the icebreaker type of thing.
maybe.
Yeah.
No, but just to tell you that-
what are you trying to imply?
And you got a little bit of white beard, so you know.
got her groove back.
Celine, I love you, but
wait, what? What you mean, but?
it's not like that. It's not like that. She's a great white lady.
Hey, if
She's
Celine
a
asked
great
me,
white
Great
lady.
white lady.
I'll-
She could be my Oprah.
She
for
actually
enough.
aged well
She
too.
could-
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
I'd risk it all for Celine. I'll tell you that.
He'll risk it all.
Le pire là-dedans,
There's a
c'est
list.
I've been
Hey.
sending codes
I
for
just-
you to say
Hey,
no. Don't
Renee
do that.
did it.
Don't do
He's
that.
like,
Hey, I did.
800 million?
I just found out 800 million. I'd risk it
If
all for
anyone
Celine.
risked it off for Celine, it was Rene.
yes,
He freaking did.
Yeah.
yes. And let's
I
not
guess,
forget.
I guess.
I don't
Let's
want
not
to put
forget-
Barnev in a tough situation
no,
here.
you're
but
right.
give that
Forget that
relationship.
he's a Muslim Arab, les amis. Eh?
René Angélil?
Yeah, he's from Syria.
It's a
I didn't even
Syrian.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew he was. I knew he was from.
I heard that
East
later
Side,
in his
Muslim.
like. I heard that years ago, but yeah,
No, but
I didn't know that forever.
You know, it's like whenever we were talking before about the gatekeepers and stuff like that, I'll say this about Quebec specifically. The people have not been anywhere. You know what I mean? Like they go on vacation to Mexico, Trois-Rivières, back to Mexico, same resort, same stretch of beach, where there's a lot of French Canadians. Truth is, they don't know about the world. I didn't know about the world. Like I'm a kid born and raised here.
Yeah.
When I got to France, I was traumatized, bro.
I never been. I'd love to
I
go.
was traumatized because it's a place they tell you it's like the motherland or
Before
the
going
motherland
to France,
of here, right?
before going to France, had you gone to Haiti?
No, I've been in the U.S. a lot, like
Okay.
New York, Miami, the East Coast a lot, but that's all I knew at the time. I'd never been.
So
on
all
an
you knew was
island.
North America.
North America.
So yeah, I guess then if I go, obviously it's gonna be a somewhat of a culture shock, but it's not gonna be as much because I've been other places
Right.
outside of North America.
No,
I've
yeah.
seen
No, it
crazy
wasn't from
poverty.
that
I've seen.
perspective. It wasn't. That, it
Not
wasn't
only
from that
It's
perspective.
2018. You see it every day on TV.
That is true
It's
as
not
well.
like back in the day.
It was more like when you're here, there's something in education where they tell you Quebec is a direct descendant of France. You go to France, it's Quebec.
Oh no, they
extra.
make fun of us. They shit on us over there.
I mean, the everyday person doesn't think about you that way.
No.
But what I mean to say is where Haiti, it's closer to French culture than
In
Quebec
Yeah.
ever
Quebec,
was.
Yeah. Hell
Right?
yeah.
So when you're here, and
They
you-
won't admit
you
that though.
haven't-
They'll never.
but you
They'll
haven't
never agree to that.
experienced it. Yeah, Roy Dupuis that said one day in an interview, he says, when I went there, I realized I'm way more American Indian than I am French. And that's the truth. They're not the same culture. They don't even eat the food the same. They don't talk the same. French Canadians don't speak French.
No.
Like
Or
they
even
speak
the-
their own Creole.
even the
it's
attitude.
a French Creole that it's their own.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're born here and you went to school here, you get there. I thought because I was Haitian, my French was better. And I realized people didn't understand me either.
They didn't understand you
No,
there
I
neither.
get- no,
I
I
because I felt the same way you did. I
Where?
felt that if I go to France, they'll understand me more easily than my Quebecer friends.
Well, you have a lot of French. We have a lot of Quebecer.
Yeah, we have a lot of
slang.
Quebecer in our French.
But
we use a lot of
than
it.
we
But
think.
they
More
from
than we
the
think.
ones-
Yeah, we
the
say-
ones that
say
I've
all the
met-
time, not
the ones that
noticing
I've
it.
met do say that we have a better French in general than Quebec.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You mean the Haitians?
Yes,
Yes, we do. But at the same time, I want to say that it's
it's still funny to them.
at the time when I got there. Don't forget, I was early 20s, mid 20s, right? So I'm young and I'm impressionable, and I'm confidence is what it is. But still, it's France. So I get there and people say, "What? Pardon?" Like they're looking at me like, "Yo, are you dumb?" Like that's that face they got, and that's
Yeah.
French people. That's Parisians.
Mhm.
What the? You say like, "Hey, je peux avoir une pomme." And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it
yeah.
makes you question yourself.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I just asked for an apple. That wasn't complicated. But the truth is that just in conversation, we had the conversation about Central Africa,
Yeah.
where I realized I knew nothing. We're talking before, and I said, I met this girl, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl, African girl. We're at a party. She asked me, where are you from? I say, Montreal. She looks at me weird because she's like, we're two black people. You're obviously not from Montreal. So where are you really from? So then I said, Haiti. She said, oh my God, I've heard of this country. Have you been? I say, no. She's like, oh, that's really weird. So I say, where are you from? She says, in English, it's
Ivory Coast.
no, in French, he says, I'm from Centrafrique, Central Africa. And I say, okay, cool, but where exactly? Central Africa is a country, my brother.
Yeah.
But I did
When
not
you
know.
said where exactly,
But I did not know.
because when you said where exactly, in my mind, I was like, where exactly? When you said where exactly, I'm like, I'm assuming it's a country.
No. But for her, from her perspective, as a
You
black
not
woman
knowing
in
that.
Europe, it was like right away. She could have said, "Oh, somebody brought their dumb cousin."
Yeah.
That's how
You
she
not
felt.
knowing the fact that Central Africa is a
Africa
country,
is a country.
you must be dumb.
But you know, if we go in Montreal anywhere right now, most black people don't know that.
I didn't.
Most people in
Before you
general.
said that, I didn't.
You get what I'm saying? So this is a nugget. It's a map. It's free. It's been there. It hasn't changed. You get what I'm saying? But we don't know. So imagine how many things we don't know.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
that's how
the education here is
for a
focused on North
year-
America.
For a year, I did not speak.
Yeah.
Because I knew I would just say dumb shit, and bright people will not let you know you're saying dumb shit. They'll let you roll with it.
Coming from the environment you were from, going to that environment with Celine, was there like culture shock moments?
Absolutely. It's from like night and day. You know what I mean? I just finished a tour with Dubmatic. Okay. which
right now?
no. Well,
then-
Okay, back then. Okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I did a show like 2 weeks ago with them, but
Oh, wow.
that's it. But yeah, we just finished a tour with Dubmatic in Quebec, and then I jump to the Celine Dion World Tour.
World tour.
Yeah, it's night and day. It's night and day.
Arenas.
Volkswagen minivan to
Yeah.
double decker bus.
Double decker bus. You know, you first class tickets. You know what I mean? You have your own room.
And like some people will show it, whereas others will just back off and let things happen, so it doesn't show that you're like in culture shock. Were you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Me, I'm a type of guy. I'm very low key. I'm very cool.
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't show it too much emotion. I don't show too
no
much.
nigga moments.
Nah.
But I'm pretty sure.
But I was impressed.
That's what I'm saying.
They got
I'm sure, man.
food in the room.
You get off from that
They
first
bus.
class flight, that bus, then you get to your room in that hotel, and you're like, yo.
You get to your room in Dubai and you like
Think
it's
it's
like
like
a
Dubai.
suite. You know what I mean? Like this is like you can fit my whole family in this room. But you know what impressed me? What impressed me was before you could even think of asking for something,
They had it.
It was there.
it's already done.
But you know what's been dope is that Celine comes from really humble beginnings.
Yeah.
So she must
Child
be
in mind.
really down to earth.
But surprisingly enough, Renee can tell you because he comes to visit me all the time.
Yeah.
The people that
Hey,
she hires,
That's the
Hey, next
funniest
time.
part.
the,
What?
the people that are around her
Bro.
Are
as
great people.
grounded
No.
as her.
No, guy.
A lot of her
That's why I'm
family.
still-
I'll do it for the camera. I'll do it for the camera. So in Vegas, right? Here you're in Vegas. And as soon as you enter backstage, you're back in Montreal.
Yeah,
Everybody's from Montreal.
yeah.
That's crazy.
That's dope.
That's really dope.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of her family is part of the staff. Like her brothers, I don't know about today, but at least 10
Yeah.
years ago, a lot of her family were still the case.
Still the same.
That's dope.
She doesn't hire a lot of people. It's always the same
That's real Jewish. of her.
people. You know?
And plus, she got like 10, 10 brothers and
I'm old
sisters
enough,
and
I don't
stuff.
say things
forgot
like
how-
that.
14. Like there are a lot of them. So yeah, you got staff right there with your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
It's
But just
crazy.
Before we end, because it's something's gonna happen, I'll say this about where the conversation started with Freddie, where I said, between me and him, I know Barnev same way as me. Most people that call me and ask me for advice, have conversation, to have points of view. Even the Swift Kid story I told you about happened from a manager that's like, I'm overwhelmed, can you help? And then we turned that into a little business we did together. But point is, there's a lot of people in town that act like they've been doing things, but you can only know things when you've done things. A lot of people that ain't done shit that say they know everything. So for the young people trying to get advice, between him and me, I don't know many people that have more experience.
Well, I definitely know you got about 20 years of experience.
From our community.
Because I remember seeing it as a 12, 13-year-old kid. Like, it's crazy.
Yo, from Dogmatic, I haven't stopped.
I can tell.
One day, like, it's been...
Because I read you jumped on that Celine tour, like...
Yeah, and then we've been
from
going
there,
on
99, I think, right?
Dude,
Yeah,
that
99.
is
From 99,
crazy,
this
bro.
dude has been singing with Celine Dion.
Yeah. And then forget about the accolades of that. It's being there while maybe he's not baking the cake, but he's a part of the cake every day.
Yeah.
And that's a point of view. It's experiences.
He's
being
on
backstage
stage
at the Grammys, being at Good Morning America, being at MTV Awards Europe, being at all these places where it changes your perspective of how you do shit. When Michael died, me and B were in New York. 30 days later, we had 15 artists doing a charity event at Club Soda that sold out. 30 days. 30 days. This experience. You can't. You can think about it, but if you don't know, you can't get that together in 30.
Experience
Especially
and
not the show we put
networking
together.
also.
Yeah, networking is even more important maybe
As
than
well.
experience.
As well.
I mean, just as
It's
just
important.
as much, just as important.
So it's not about that. So,
'Cause
you'll
important-
know people.
experience
but
matters.
The problem you'll have sometimes, especially with some young black people that I have in my mind right now, is that they figure they don't need help, right? And then, or they'll come see me and they don't want to listen to anything I have to say. Problem is, the guy you're going to meet, he's one of me guys. It means he knows. And then you keep calling this a turtle. But in our business, we call this a glass. And then you're in a meeting and this guy is just cracking his ass up. Like, why is this guy calling this a turtle? You've lost the business deal 20 minutes ago. He's just being entertained right now. That's because nobody told you it's not called a turtle. You need to call it Barnev. So Barnev will tell, okay, so when you get to the meeting, well, first don't do this shit. Don't do that shit. You need to focus on that. You need to not feel ego. Like, I know about deals that fell through because people were like, I want this, I want that, I want that. It's not Santa Claus. It's a business deal.
Monique.
You get what I'm saying? Like, when I talk about experience, I mean, knowing people is important. But I mean, at this 20 years later, we got
You mentioned Monique. You know the thing about Monique?
Oh,
boy.
what you got? What you got?
What if Netflix didn't want to do a deal with her? They just gave her what they knew she was going to decline.
Yeah.
Just not to deal with her.
It's possible.
Because nobody else is.
It's their right. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Nobody else is. So
Yep.
why is she boycotting anyone else?
That's weird, man.
No, I think the truth about Monique, no matter what you have to say about her, is that if she decides to tour right now, she's full everywhere, so she won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I've been saying week after week, and I'm end up repeating again. You do your own tour and you call it the 500K tour,
There you go.
and that motherfucker gonna sell.
You need to credit Freddie for that, Mo.
Now, before we end the episode, I'd like to ask each of you guys, what's next for your already great careers?
Well, for me, just finished, about 15 songs that I'm going to pick out. And
Add to the 50.
Finally, you're going to do a solo project?
Add it to the 50.
Added to the 50 there. that I already had. But I'm gonna see if I can do 2 EPs or 1 LP. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but definitely 2018. I'm ready. Like,
Have you ever dropped an EP since 99, 98?
Never.
That's beautiful, actually.
Never.
That he
The
doesn't
fact-
have to.
That exactly. The fact that he doesn't have to is amazing.
And you're also going to be considered almost like a new artist. Not almost,
No.
basically a new artist.
Every album you have to reinvent yourself. You can't do it anymore. Like maybe Beyonce.
No,
can
meaning
do it,
when you
but-
drop your first project in 2018, you're going to be
Essentially,
considered
is a
a new artist.
yes, new artist, definitely.
Even though you've been in the game for 20 years,
It
for
doesn't
anyone
matter.
that knows.
It doesn't matter. I'm a new artist.
What's next for you?
I've started 2017. I decided to do become a comedian. Something
Okay.
I've been thinking about for a long time. Stand-up comedy. It's been a year. B saw me for the first time.
It was good.
Sunday.
Yeah, you guys should definitely go see the next
Les
show.
Bad Boys du Rire, right?
Yeah,
Bad
Bad
Boys
Boys
du
du
Rire. I'm a.
I think it was the second edition.
second edition. It's in Montreal. Was sold out, and it's something different. I can do it in English, but I like the challenge of trying to do it in French. And just like a few years back, we fucked up their world. I'm not messing. When we got to France, a lot of people looking at us like, you guys got big penises. Like they, because for them, we're from New York, but we speak French.
Yeah.
Like they got that envy on that.
There's still even with like the urban music in France popping off like that. There's still that feeling that
worse.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's popping, if it's big.
No. Meaning, do they still have that feel? Do
Yeah,
they
yeah.
still think that of Montreal?
Yeah,
or
we're
Black
Americans.
For
Montreal?
the right guy.
Okay.
We're
For the right
Americans.
guy. Because
French
because
Americans.
Celine Dion and all these acts or whatever works.
Yeah.
But like me and him, we go in France. I used to be bigger too.
Mhm.
People was like, "What are you? You soccer player? You gotta be something." Because there's something about black French guys are swagless in a way that is only specific to black French guys. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Or generally speaking.
B.
Yeah.
B.
Yeah, I completely agree.
They jumped the swag juice. They just decided to say no. I'll opt for that later if I can, and it never happened.
I'll take a pen baguette instead.
So when you're in France, or at least it's not just that; it's a culture thing. We're very American. Like when I got there, the work ethic was one thing. So getting there on time, talking to people right. French people are assholes to each other.
Yeah.
So you get there, you're polite, you're American, you shake hands, you treat people right. Yo, people love you.
Yeah.
So in this comedy thing, for me, this is where I'm hoping to go.
Dope.
Well, there you have it, lifers. This is the end of the episode 72. Before we go, we're gonna ask the guests
72?
to give us their handles and give
Working
y'all
out
their handles
here.
so you could check out what they got going. So give us your handle, man.
So Renzel Dashington on Facebook and Instagram. You can go check out my podcast, Serial Killers, like the cereal you eat, not
Very
the
dope
kind
podcast, by
that
the
kills.
way. It's in French, but very dope
It's in
podcast.
French, yes. And B.
Me, it's everything Barnev, BARNEV at Instagram, everything.
Hi, Celine.
Great.
I think you
Just
should change
before
it
we
to,
go.
I think you should change it to Barnev.
Just before we go,
Killmonger.
did you take that name Renzel after Rick Ross branded that name?
Before, way
my nigga.
before.
Oh,
It doesn't go after
before.
Way before.
I
Listen
was
to the name
so
again.
mad.
Listen to the name again. Tell him the name again.
Renzel F. Dashington.
What is it? sound
Yeah,
like?
that's another question I was. Well, the
Denzel
cartoon.
Washington.
The
Yeah,
truth
I-
is,
yeah, I know.
Renzel is a contraption of my government.
Okay, yeah, obviously, yeah.
With the Z.
Z, but it's a S French S,
Mhm.
which is Z, EL, which is the end. It's a contraption of my name.
Yeah.
Just so happens it works with Denzel. But the Dashington is an interesting story. I'll tell you the story. So this Russian guy says, "Oh, your name is Renzel, huh? Renzel Dashington."
He
I'm
can
like,
say
"No."
W.
He can say Washington. He didn't say Washington.
Dashington. I said, "No, but I like it." He says, "Russian people, black people, we same people." I said, "How so?" He says, we shit starters. I said, "Bro, we're trying to get free. I don't know what y'all do." I don't know, but thank you for the name, dear Russian man.
And
So,
since then, you
dope.
took that name and you
Dashington.
ran with it.
I was
Dashington
surprised
works.
when I saw Rose say that his name
I was
Renzel.
mad. I was mad. I was mad.
So there you have it, lifers. This is the end of the episode. As usual, you could find us on the usual platforms such as iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn. Also on YouTube, obviously, with the videos. Check out the videos, and on Instagram. Keep reaching out to us. Keep letting us
And we'll be
know
on
what you
Anchor
want to
soon.
hear. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
We'll be on Anchor soon.
Yeah, we
Okay.
getting up,
You
we
need to
jumping
be.
on there
You
very
need to
soon.
be.
But
I just wish I could like transfer with the RSS from fucking SoundCloud to Anchor.
They say you can, but I've been transferring manually a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
the info's there, but the file, for some reason, I think mines were super heavy. They didn't want to do it or something.
So too much technical podcast stuff for y'all. Until then, see y'all next week. Peace out.
All right.